Hi everybody, welcome to Family Law. My name is Nicola Ross and I've been teaching family law at the University of Newcastle since 2008. I really enjoy teaching this subject. I find it endlessly stimulating, as do a lot of people who actually practice in this area. Now, some of you will be practicing in this area from next year, and it won't necessarily be those of you who think you're going to be practicing in family law next year. Some of you will find yourself practicing in it despite what you perhaps wanted and finding that you're really enjoying it. I have found that a lot of my students have been stimulated by the subject and sometimes to their surprise have really enjoyed it. This year we've got a very full class, and this is the first year that I've had new online tools available to work with. So there are two changes to the course. First, I've put some time into updating the course so it's user-friendly. Because I'm new at doing things like online links, you'll probably find that some of them don't work. So please feel free to let me know if a link has broken, and I'll get it fixed as soon as I can. It's a bit of a learning incline for me at the moment, and perhaps also for you in using such a course. Secondly, I've redesigned the course so that we get as much time as we can possibly have in our seminars, which are where the real hands-on work of this course takes place. You get to work in groups in relation to practice problems in this course, and it's only by applying the law to problems that you start to understand the law and really grapple with how it works and what it reflects. One of the reasons I've done that is that past students have said to me the best part of the course is where they do problems in seminars, and therefore I've put a lot of effort this year into arranging the course so that you can do some of the reading, not necessarily attend the lecture but listen to the echo, and together with your reading and the echo know that you've covered some of the ground of that particular area. So you can use the review questions to ensure that you're on track in terms of the reading. The important thing about the seminars as well is that they will help you prepare for the exam at the end of the course, which is worth 50% of your mark. So the course begins this Tuesday, that's Tuesday the 4th of March at 9 o'clock. It's in ES 203, which is the engineering building, and let me tell you, it takes about 10 minutes to walk there from the McMullen building if you haven't been there before, so leave some time to find it. Lectures aren't compulsory. They are on echo, but I do have family law guest lecturers come along. I have both of the family court judges in the family court in Newcastle coming to speak to you. I also have the senior family consultant from the family court, a local practitioner who has a humorous insight into property, and hopefully a panel of young practitioners who can talk to you about their experiences of working in family law, because some of you will be doing so. And it's nice to hear some relevant things from them. So I guess what I'm asking you is to come along to those guest lectures, and please come along to the other lectures if you're so inclined. You'll have an opportunity to interact with me in those lectures, but if you don't wish to come, you can listen to my interactions with other students on the echo. Seminars aren't compulsory, but 3 seminars have assessment tied to them. If you can only come to those seminars, if you only actually manage to come to them, the other ones won't be recorded. None of the seminars are recorded. They're for you to be present and to work with your group members. Then there's a chance that you won't do very well in family law, and there's a chance that you might fail. So please be aware of that. I'm not tying you to coming to them, but that doesn't mean that it's a good idea to miss them. And I hope you will come along and find them very useful. I've set the same text as I set last year, so you may find some second-hand copies of it. It's Parkinson's Australian Family Law in Context, Commentary and Materials. It's the 5th edition, 2012. Don't get an earlier edition. There were big law reforms in 2011 and a lot has changed. So it's important that you get the latest edition. There isn't any casebook this year. All of the materials, the course outline, the cases, the suggested readings are all going online. Where I can make them online, I'm making them online for you to read and print as you desire. I want to talk a little bit about my teaching philosophy. please look at the learning objectives for the subject, and note that I've also put learning objectives in for each of the topic areas in the 3 modules. I've got a strong commitment to teaching family law in context, and one of the reasons for that is that I don't believe you can understand family law properly unless you understand the context within which it is formed and within which it is reformed. It just doesn't make sense. Also, I've got a commitment to building what I call a learning community. I think that I can learn from you as well as you learning from me. I hope that you'll share your experiences with me during the semester. For instance, if you have an interesting experience in practice that really helps you learn something, then that's the kind of thing I'd really like to hear about, because there's a very good chance that students next year could benefit from the learning that you've done this year, and I could build that into the course. And that keeps the course contemporary and interesting. I don't believe in banking approaches to education. That is, I don't see myself as the expert who will fill you full of facts that you can regurgitate to me in the exam. I anticipate that I'm working alongside you to facilitate your active learning in seminars. After you've done the reading, considered the relevant case and the legislation, and used the review questions to check that you've understood the bulk of the material. Then you get to apply that law that you've read and understood to the facts of a particular problem. And you get to uncover the issues in that process. So this applied form of learning really helps you to go more deeply into the materials. Secondly, apart from the problems that we will be examining in class, you'll also be writing a submission to a law reform body. This is on the topic of surrogacy, and all the materials are there in the outline for you to look at now. As graduating lawyers, you're in a very good position to make a real difference in terms of contributing to law reform, so that the law remains relevant in what is a very fast pace of change, social change. I need to warn you that your surrogacy law reform submission is worth 30% of your mark, and that it is due in week 5. So you need to start it soon. Have a look at the assessment, have a look at the marking criteria, and the earlier you begin your law reform submission, the better it's likely to be, and the better the mark will be. I'll do an introduction by video each week to the week's materials, not necessarily in week 1, but in all the other weeks, and I'll put the lecture slides up the day before. You need to do the text and the case reading, and you need to look at the legislation before the lecture. There are review questions, as I've said, to help you check that you're understanding the material. Now, if you don't understand the material, what you need to do is write a question up on discussion board, and I will be inviting other students to submit suggestions, answers to the question you've put up. I'll also be looking at that on a regular basis and putting up my answers, and that means we don't waste a lot of time in class on a question that really can be answered very easily at another time. I'll also maintain a glossary, so if there are terms that you need to understand, and I might not always remember to put all of these up myself, then they will be there in the glossary, and I will add to that each week. So please make suggestions if I miss a concept. Also, there's a frequently answered questions tab there, and any questions I get from students, I will put up on the board with the answer. So please read that first before you come and ask me a question or email me to ask a question. If it's in the course outline, if it's on the FAQ, then there's a chance that I won't answer your question because it's already been answered. But having said that, please don't feel shy about contacting me. It's part of my role to support you in this course, and it's important to me that I am available to assist you as necessary. I put my consultation hours at this stage down at from 10 to 12 on a Tuesday following the lecture, but if that doesn't suit you, feel free to email me and we can make another time. It's my plan to introduce Office Online, which is an online method of queuing questions at a particular time in the semester. My computer at the moment doesn't have a camera, but that should change in April, and I'll be able to introduce that office hours online. And that means you don't have to travel out to Callaghan to ask me a question. But of course I will respond to emails if you would prefer to put your question by email. There are probe questions for the cases that we look at each week, And we'll do those together as a class in weeks 1, 2, 3, 11 and 12. And there are also problems in each seminar that are there in the on the Blackboard site for you to look at. And you should look at those problems before you come to the seminar and prepare, because that is the work that we do in the seminar. Otherwise, when you come to the seminar, it may be puzzling rather than a good use of your valuable time. In week 1, I'll be allocating students to groups, so you need to come along to your seminar in week 1, and hopefully you'll come to the seminars after that too, and not just the accessible ones. If you don't come, I'll allocate you to a group. We have a lot to cover, so there's no honeymoon at the beginning of this course. We get going straight away in week 1, and the pace doesn't let off really during the semester. The other thing you need to know is that I use something called Spark. The information is up on Blackboard. It's a peer assessment tool, and if you find that you don't get around to coming to your accessible classes, then your peers will be asked to moderate the mark that I've given the group, and you will receive a lower mark than your peers. In fact, they will get a higher mark and you a lower mark, so make sure you contribute in those groups. I've also changed the way that the accessible component, where your group leads 2 seminars, leads the problem solving in 2 seminars around, so that you will actually be facilitating other groups learning in groups around those particular problems. I'm very interested to see how this cooperative approach to student learning works. I hope it appeals to you, and I hope it will be successful and improve everyone's experiences and marks. So try and get prepared to come along for Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday morning.